I doubt if there's any similar situation in the world where such a traditionally developed people, and you have to keep in mind that Gaza was not an impoverished area before the siege. It's a relatively wealthy area with farmlands and coastline, and was the trade route of many civilizations that has a rich history of merchant families and merchant class, and at one point was a very industrial area. To be reduced to such abject poverty and to be reduced to such destitution. This Gaza war, in some ways, is the first war in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict where Western media did not have a monopoly on reporting it.
Maybe if it was a hotshot reporter, they would have got to a bigger audience and something would have been done.
The story of what happened in Gaza is a story of shame on humanity. It really is. It is a story of great shame on humanity, that so many people could be killed in such a short amount of time, on top of being squeezed to death for years before even the first bullet of that war was fired. So it's a stain on the moral conscience of the world.
2,000 years ago, the greatest actual historically documented king of the Jews, Herod, began emancipating his people from the cult of Judah, represented at that time by the Pharisees. This elite priesthood had worked their way to positions of influence, and more or less occupied Babylon, Persia, and then Rome. Israel was destroyed in the Torah by this priesthood, using Persia/Babylon as their weapon. To prevent King Herod's Hellenization program, and emancipation of the Jews, this cult of Judah priesthood then had Rome destroy Israel. This same cult later provoked Europeans to carry out pogroms and to evict Jews from their nations. This same cult later declared war on Germany, openly, and instigated trade warfare/economic warfare, to provoke National Socialist Germany to place Jews in concentration camps and work camps. Kissinger and top C.I.A/Army intelligence officials have stated that Israel will cease to exist within a few years. I suggest Jews study their real history, and stop studying the falsified versions of history, provided by their current cult of Judah masters, if they don't want the 6 million Jews living in Palestine to suffer the real Holocaust that the Holo-hoax is the predictive programming for, the real Holocaust and genocide their own cult of Judah masters, today represented by the Hazar converts to Judaism who now make up the Zionist occupation governments of the Jew.S.A, EU, Germany, France, Australia, Canada, and Jew.K, have prepared for them, that they start listening to the voices of reason and compassion such as mine. Otherwise the Jews in Palestine will soon become the real burnt offering, the sacrifice on the altar of the cult of Judah's ambitions. Their real Lord and God, power. Their own power. Their compulsive obsession to rule not just the Jews, to make them their slaves, but to rule and enslave all of humanity. These Hazar Ashkenazi Jews followed their Torah role models by seizing territory via genocide. The killing of men, women, and children. It began at Yir Dasir, and has continued to today. When the victims fight back with homemade rockets that kill a few people, the Israeli terrorists who have invaded and stolen the Palestinians' land, after 2,000 years of legal ownership of that land, gained by legal means, and not by genocide as the Torah states Jews first stole it from its rightful owners, respond with massive high-tech bombing raids on Palestinian hospitals, residential areas, schools, and even UN safe havens, deliberately destroying basic food supplies, in the same way. The cult of Judah imposed economic sanctions on Germany, hoping to starve it into submission. Israel murders over 800 men, women, and children, when the rightful owners seek to defend their own property, lives, homes, and livelihoods. Using weapons banned by the UN, namely phosphorus bombs, a weapon so cruel no civilized nation condones its use. You Zionist Christians should remember what role models the Jews have in their Torah. How Israel was originally created, according to the Torah. Via the horrific slaughter of innocent men, women, children, sucklings, ripping up pregnant women and dashing their little ones' heads against the stones. And then look at Palestine today, and tell themselves that this is somehow any different to the glorified history of the Israelites. A history of genocide. A history of cruelty. A history of stubborn racial supremacism, and exceptionalism. Where the nations are not the brother of the Jews. And thus not humans. As such, human rights do not apply to them, according to their laws and statutes. I don't see that any sacrifice I have made has made any difference to anyone. I've just suffered in vain. As Ecclesiastes warned, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Probably Buddha was right. This world is just a transit camp and school where we can do no better than learn a few lessons, so that we must not be compelled, by the need to learn those lessons, continually back to this world. And its continual repetition of a history of cruelty, violence, and war. If anyone can offer me resources and a platform where I might really make a positive difference, I will be happy to listen to their suggestions. Otherwise, I need to act responsibly and conscientiously, and seek to generate a platform for myself, using whatever musical talent I possess, and working as hard with it as I can. With the aim of becoming a public figure that people might not just actively pay attention to, but actually listen to. But as I said, I am willing to go anywhere, if someone finds a way for me to really have a positive impact. It would require resources. A team of people. Simple broadcast/recording/editing resources. And discipline. And people who understand all the concepts in my last book, and all my books. People who will not end up becoming controlled by the cult of Judah. People who won't end up acting in ways that the cult of Judah want them to. It is very subtle and sophisticated, my holistic strategy, compared to the current methods that alternate media are adopting. I'd like to bring the most competent and capable and charismatic/talented people together, but they are all too busy following their own narrow agendas, imagining they have awoken from their trance states, but who have only really awoken into another level of their trance state. A dream within the dream. I need people willing to wake up totally. Abandon their cult of Judah conditioned/programmed beliefs and programs. And start from the very most basic and fundamental, lowest levels of abstraction, and build something new, from scratch, from the ground up. They will need to be willing to first read all my TrueNetNor books available at no cost to them for download from TrueNetNor Patreon. And watch all the videos I have posted to BitChute and Tube.video. I feel physically sick just writing this. Ad nauseum. That's the Latin. I can't keep doing the same things expecting a different outcome. I am not crazy. So back to my music. A lot to learn. A lot of discipline will be required. Overcoming my naturally self-consciousness and doubts. Working on my songs, my voice, my phrasing, my guitar, my keyboards, my recording and mixing skills, and trying to find a sound, using the old computer I have, and the basic software and other gear I have. Alone as always. Isolated. Rejected. Abandoned. Excommunicated. In exile. Among people who don't understand me and don't want to. Wandering in a desert, emotionally, socially, economically, but not spiritually. Seriously, writing makes me feel physically sick. So I have to stop. Please go vegan. That is the repayment/reciprocation/compensation from you that I really most desire. TrueNetNor Marcus Heinrich Rebuck.